welcome to the Maple Podcast, episode 11. I'm Bill Price.
And I'm Hollis Biggs.
And we're the podcast for board game beginners. And speaking of board game beginners, we played a couple games for the first time last week. And we're going to be talking about them today.
Yeah, we had some good ones. Kind of different categories on both, but I would say there's some hidden similarities, maybe. I can't wait to tell you. I can't wait to tell you about them. But the first one I want to talk about today is Incan Gold.
Yes. So Incan Gold is it's an older game, substantially older game. I want to say from I'm going to make this up. Let's call it 2006. But it actually has a couple of, it's been reprinted a couple times. It has another name, Diamante, I think, but it's pretty much in essence been the same game for a long time. It's considered a classic, and it sort of defined the push your luck game. And to define push your luck is when you do something and then you have a chance to do something to keep going further and do something even better, or completely lose everything.
I like a push your luck game. And Incan Gold was, I would say, maybe one of the best examples of one of these games that we've played. This one, the premise is that you're exploring like an ancient Incan temple, and you're trying to collect jewels or coins. You're trying to collect some gold. The different jewels are slightly different colors and have different numbers associated with them. So I think maybe the yellow jewels are worth 1 point, the green ones are worth 5, and the black ones are worth 10, or something to that effect.
Yep.
Every person has an individual meeple that's playing, and I think this one plays...
I want to say, like 7 or 8.
Oh, 8.
So another game that we played that was pressure luck recently was Spots. And this is kind of similar, but instead of with dice, this one is with cards. So there are these different, we'll call them levels. They're basically rounds, different caves to explore. And you start out with 1, then go to 2, and then all the way up to, I want to say 6 or 7 of them. 6 maybe. And each one has an artifact that goes into the big deck of cards that you're going to be drawing from when you reach that cave. So in the first one, you decide, okay, we all start at the mouth of the cave, and so all our meeples go on there. We're like, all right, we're going to explore. So you take the deck of stuff and you lay down a card. And this card could be a bunch of jewels, like it could be the number 12, in which case you would divide 12 jewels between however many players there are. Say there's 4 of us. Everybody gets 3 jewels. But now say there were 5 of us. Everyone would get 2 jewels, and then 3 of them, 2 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them.
3 of them, I think.
I'm struggling with math here. Would go on the card and not go to any one particular person. So then everyone has these stay or leave cards, and they put them down where nobody can see them, and everybody reveals their selection at the same time. They decide whether they're going to stay in the cave and continue potentially getting more and more jewels, or they can leave the cave and take not only what they have, but also if they are the only one to choose to leave on that round, they can take all of the jewels that are on any cards that they run back over on the way out. So it's kind of a way to rob everybody of some jewels. But at the same time, you get to actually bank those jewels, and they can never be taken away. Otherwise, if you choose to stay, the jewels that you have thus far acquired go at risk. And the way you risk them is there are danger cards or
hazard cards.
And there's spiders, there's rock slides, there's fire, there's what we call
a mummy.
A mummy, I think, which I don't remember what we were calling it. But
It's a very frightening looking
Yes,
card, I'll be honest.
It really is. And then there's one other one. But if one of them shows up, no big deal. You can choose to continue. But as soon as a second card of one particular hazard comes out, everybody loses. Everybody who hasn't already left loses all of their jewels and they go away forever. So that's kind of the push your luck aspect of it is let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. But if you bust, you lose everything. But if you're tricky and kind of a jerk and want to go against everyone else, you can flee earlier and you can take all of the leftover jewels that were on the path, and then you can just laugh at everybody.
Leftover jewels, and can't you also take an artifact card if it's
yes,
in the pile?
If an artifact card has already been put out and is on the path, yes, you would take the artifact card, which in and of itself is worth jewels. So, I feel like we had a really good time on this one. I had one or two instances where it seemed like I might have left a little early, and then people were getting excited and everything was going great, and then boom, the second of the hazard cards came out and everybody lost their stuff. And I'm sitting here going, oh yeah.
I think Bill probably ended up with like 40 plus jewels in his like little treasure trove. I think I ended up with like 12. And that was impressive considering how many times I got just demolished in the end. So,
well, you and my brother both just were on the let's push our luck train, and we're just I don't think either one of you ever.
No, he and I are particularly competitive, so.
Noticed.
Yeah, so that's kind of tough. I did not want him to. He was never going to bail out, and I knew that. However, I also really like to push my luck in games like this, so my strategy was I just have to outlast Alex.
Right.
Which I never did. We both bust every single time.
Yes. And so it was...
We never learned. I don't know what's wrong with us.
There were several games where everyone else... We played this 5 players. And there were several games where everyone else had left. They had escaped. And we're all sitting there just watching Hollis and Alex out-chicken each other.
They left after 2 or 3 rounds. And I'm telling you... Or 2 or 3 cards. And Alex and we're like 8 cards deep at this point.
And still busted.
I just can't lose.
You can lose.
I can, and I did handily. It was pretty rough.
Yeah. Just the look of sheer disappointment on their faces kind of made this worth it. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one, especially with 5 people, and I think it would be even better with more. I could see kind of a minimum, maybe being 3 or 4. Maybe even 4. I'm not even sure I'd want to play this at 3 because part of the fun is you have so many people and one of them could leave at any point in time, and like some people are going to stay, and so there's a lot more variability. So I really liked it at 5. I'd love to try it at like 6 or 7 or 8.
It was definitely a lot of fun. I would highly recommend this one. This game also makes me realize that I don't hate all games based on archaeology. Hate's also maybe a strong term. But this one was pretty good. I'm gonna rate this one. What am I gonna rate this one? I think I'm gonna rate this one like a 6. I think it's a lot of fun. Okay. There's a lot of pieces. A lot of my ratings are based on whether or not I won, and also its portability level. There are a lot of tiny pieces that could very easily get lost if you're playing it at a bar, restaurant, brewery, whatever the case may be.
It has a good size footprint for sure on the table.
So I think it's a lot of fun. The fun rating, if I was just rating it on fun alone, the fun rating would be much higher. It would probably be like an 8.5.
Okay, that's fair. I think that if you have, say, 5 or more people, 5 to 8 people, I would give this like an 8. It is super fun. I would pull this out, and it is just a blast. Otherwise, I'm kind of with you. I think with 3 or 4, I'd probably give it more of a 6 or 7. I mean, it's a good game, but I don't know that I'd be jonesing to play it with less than 5. It is actually one of the co-designers of this is Alan Moon, who was the designer of Ticket to Ride. It's a pretty big name.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yes,
all right.
Yes. And Bruno Feduti, who has done a whole bunch of other games, but none that we've played. So that's our first Feduti game.
Well, we'll have to try some others out in the coming weeks.
We will. We certainly will. So, all right. So moving on to our second game and the wildest ride, I feel like.
That's Not a Hat. It was honestly a wild game. It's pretty easy to play and easy to teach. It only takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes to explain the rules. And it's a card game, and the cards are pretty simple to read. So
yes, the cards just have pictures on them. That's like a picture of a globe, or a picture of a hat, or a picture of a sandwich, or a picture of a pig. And there's a big stack of cards, and on the back of the card, there's an arrow pointing either to the right or to the left. So everybody gets a face-up card in this game. And when starting with player 1, they grab a card from the middle and show everyone what the card is. Like, so this is a traffic cone. Okay, so now they turn the traffic cone over, and they turn what they had in front of them that everyone could see over. So now they have 2 cards that are face down, and the card they just picked they have to give to somebody. So I would say choose Hollis and say, or no, cool. The arrow tells me whether I pass it to the left or the right. So say Hollis is on my left, and the card says to pass to the left. So I go, Hollis, here is your traffic cone. And I think the directions say you have to say, I have a nice traffic cone for you. But we just said, hey, this is a traffic cone. So then Hollis puts it above her card that's face up still, and then she takes her card that is face up and she turns it face down. And then she has to, the card that she just turned over, she has to give to her right or her left. So maybe to her, maybe it's to her right. So she says, Bill, this is a monkey. And I just saw it was a monkey, so I know it's a monkey. So it goes below what I had. So now I look at the thing from before, and I have to give it to either the right or the left. And at this point in time, I may not even remember what I had. And so it's a memory game at its core, and it seems like it would be just monstrously, like, elementary, right? Yeah. Like, just kids should be able to this is a kindergartner's game, but it's not.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is that the game says on the box in the directions, it says it's for players ages 8 and up. It's for 3 to 8 players, and it takes 15 minutes. And in our experience, that's a lie. It took maybe 4-5 minutes before we all completely forgot what everyone had.
It is.
Maybe that's what each round takes.
Yes.
But you're not only trying to remember what's in front of you, you're trying to remember what everyone else has. And I think that's the toughest part. Also, each of the cards, I think Bill sort of explained this, but each of the cards has a predetermined arrow on the back side of the card. So to, point either right or left. So that's who you have to hand the card to. But quite frankly, this game is really about who can gaslight their partners to either the right or the left of them best, because there's no chance you remember what you have at any given moment after you turn it over.
Yeah.
So it's really tough. And another tough part was that we played a couple of rounds of this, and after the first round, we all, reshuffled, got new cards, and I was passing things, Bill might have said, oh, this is a traffic cone. Well, we saw the traffic cone first round. That card's already been discarded,
Yeah, it's not even in the game.
It's not even in this round of the game.
But you don't remember that. You're like, oh, I remember a traffic cone. It might actually be a traffic cone. It's obviously not a traffic cone if one would process it. But it's kind of heat of the moment, and the pressure's on you, and you're like, well, is it a traffic cone? I know I've seen a traffic cone, so it could be a traffic cone. But the idea is if it, I guess I didn't explain what makes this a game. So when somebody say Hollis gives me the card and says this is a traffic cone, but I don't think this is a traffic cone. So I flip it over. If I said that's not a traffic cone. So it flips over, and if it is a traffic cone, then I was wrong, and I take the card and put it in front of me off to the side of my scoring pile. If it's not a traffic cone, then I was right, and Hollis has to take that card and put it in her scoring pile. And the first one was 2 cards?
I think it's 3.
3 cards. The first one with 3 cards is the loser. And I guess you could just continue to play until you have nothing but losers, but I think it's more of a like there's one loser and everyone else gets to make fun of them. That's kind of what we did.
This is another one where we played with the same group of people that we played Incan Gold with, and Alex was the one who was not being very helpful next to me again. And he was effectively telling everyone else, that's not what that is. That's not right. Even if it wasn't his turn. So
but in the meantime, I was passing him stuff and saying, oh, this is a pig or whatever that we haven't seen in 3 rounds. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, okay.
yeah, definitely. That's what that is. That's what that is.
And so he could have gotten me, he could have busted me so many times. And it's just, you see, we're laughing as we're even telling the story. And that's what makes this game so much fun, is you could look at it from a serious perspective and be like, this is barely a game. Well, this is lame. But as far as the amount of fun we had and the stories we told and like how much this cracks us up to kind of recount this, like this was a great experience. And it is so easy, and it's so small, really, because all anyone needs in front of them is room for 2 cards. You don't need hardly any room. You could play this anywhere, so it is a very, very small footprint. It's very easy to teach, under 5 minutes, even with a full practice round. And that's how I teach it, is with a practice round. Like, okay, here's what I do. I'm going to draw this card, show this to everybody. I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to pass it over here. Now you tell me, is this yes or no? And so it's very, very easy to teach. It's intuitive. By the time 5 minutes is up, you've already played 2 rounds of it, and you're going. You get it.
And the cards,
so I really like it.
The pictures on the cards are all black and white line drawings. They're kind of fun. They look like somebody sketched it out on the card itself.
Yeah.
It's easy to interpret what every card is, so there shouldn't be any confusion there. So I think this game is a really easy one to introduce, like a quick card / board game to. And I think this is a particularly like portable game, so that's going to factor heavily into my rating. And yeah, just a lot of fun. Bill's absolutely right. We had a blast. We're having a blast thinking about it.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd definitely play it again.
Grandma would play this game.
Yep.
And Uno players would play this game. So that's got it. You could play this game with anyone. And honestly, you could even play this with younger children. Mm-hmm. It says 8+, but it's probably because the coating on the cards maybe isn't you can't eat them. I don't know. So I wouldn't necessarily, I think a 4 or 5-year-old, if they're capable of playing the game memory, they're capable of at least playing along with the core of this game.
And who knows, they might be better at it than full-blown adult.
They can't be any worse. We literally had times where like we got the card, flipped it over, and then before we could even pass it, we're like, oh gosh, what was it? What was this one card that I literally just looked at? So it seems like you should be able to keep track of this stuff so well, but I find that very similar to another game that we had previously talked about, which is Trio. You just find yourself going, oh, what was that? Or where was it? And so you're constantly losing track of, where was the bikini? Where was the beach ball? Where was,
the toaster?
The toaster. I know there was was there a TV here? Or was that last game? Oh my gosh. So just like in Trio, where you're like, I think that's the 10, but it's not. That's the 3. And it just, you wouldn't believe what your brain does to you during this game. And it's amazing. I really like it.
It was surprisingly tough. Like, I did not expect what I thought was going to be similar to memory, like what I have always considered to be a pretty easy game, because I think my memory is pretty good. Turns out it's not. I have no memory. I don't know.
None.
It was really tough, but in a fun way. So again, highly recommend this one. I'm going to rate this one pretty high because of it. Just because, again, a lot of it's based on the stories that I can tell from this. What a great night we had playing this game. So I'm actually going to give this one a 9.
Wow.
I know, I really liked it.
Wow.
Not because I was good at it, just to clarify. I was terrible at it.
Same. I'm gonna give it an 8 for a lot of the reasons we just talked about. Is that it does play 3 to 8, so you can play with a lot of people. But I'm gonna give it an 8 because you can take it with you anywhere. You can explain it very quickly. It does not take much space. So yeah, I think it's kind of the perfect takeout game with a larger group.
Yeah.
And I would recommend this one right along with any of them. This is a great game, and it's That's Not a Hat. Now, obviously, you'll see some pictures on our Instagram, which is a great way to get a hold of us at the Meeple Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, the Meeple Podcast, and you can see more pictures at www.themeeplepodcast.com.
We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'd love to know how you guys think our ratings hold up.
Yes. And you can actually, on our website, you can see a list of games that we talk about on each episode, sorted by episode, and it gives our ratings, it gives the number of players, and it gives the age range, and also how long it takes to play it. So if once you want to take a look and be like, oh, I'm going out, which one? Oh, yep, That's Not a Hat. That's a great one. So that's just another little feature we're working on. But that's all I have today.
Yeah, thanks for listening in. We love talking about these, and we'd love to hear from you guys on what games we should talk about next.
Absolutely. Just drop us a line, and we'll talk to you next time.